Good evening. I'm going to call to order this meeting of the Finance, Budget, and Personnel Committee for Tuesday, March 4th. Are there any potential conflicts of interest from anybody? No. Citizens' comments? Citizens' comments? Seeing no citizens, we are going to move on from that. Number 4, we have the consent agenda. Minutes of the February 18th, 2025 meeting, bills and payroll, monthly position control report, report of personnel actions, November Treasury report, December Treasury report, and the January Treasury report. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
So we have a motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign?
Aye.
Okay, that passes. We'll skip over number 5. Number 6, request to recommend council approval of budget resolution number 09-2025, increasing the TIF District number 15 fund budget by $150,000 to appropriate developer incentive expenditures, presented by Steve Barg, City Administrator. Steve.
Thank you very much. Well, back in April of 2024, the city created TIF District number 15. It covers a portion of the Mill Creek Business Park and some adjacent lands. The purpose is to promote economic development, eliminate blight, just be an overall benefit to the city from an economic standpoint. The tied very closely with that was the relocation of Weinbrenner Shoe Factory from downtown to build a new 70,000 square foot facility out there. And they're going very well, as I understand from our Development Services Department, making great progress. Their goal is still to be completed with that structure by the end of November of 2025, and take occupancy sometime later in the first quarter of 2026. That's good for the city. As you know, we're talking about redeveloping the existing facility on West 3rd Street as well. But as part of that, we had an economic development piece of the development agreement that we had with Weinbrenner that allowed us to be refunding the purchase price of the property in 3 installments. And we've done this before in past agreements. 30% when you get the foundation in, 60% more when you have the building substantially completed, and we withhold the final 10% for improvements such as parking, landscaping, some of those exterior site improvements to make sure that they get done. The amount that Weinbrenner paid for this property, the 15 acres in the business park, was $150,000. They have done the work to complete the foundation. It's been confirmed by the Development Services staff. That means they're eligible for the first milestone payment of $45,000. So what we need to do is transfer funds, or actually increase the budget, I should say, for TIF District number 15 by $150,000 for incentives to allow us to make that payment, the first $45,000 to Weinbrenner, and then subsequent payments as we go forward. So staff would recommend approval of Budget Resolution 09-2025, which increases the incentives expenditure budget for TID 15 by $150,000.
Thank you, Steve.
I'll move to approve.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Thank you.
That passes. All right, moving on, number 8. Request to recommend council approval of a 3-month extension of the agreement with Cedar Corp. Did I miss one?
Yep.
Oh, gosh. Well, let's move back up to number 7. Request to recommend council approval of budget resolution number 10-2025, carrying forward $42,680 in unexpected 2024 funds and unexpended 2024 funds to complete construction of the pickleball. I should not read this one. I cannot get the words out. Of the pickleball courts at Brain Park. Jennifer, this one is yours.
I'll take it. Thank you.
Thank you. Hurry.
The city's 2023 capital improvement plan included a project for the construction of pickleball courts at Brain Park. And this $597,500 project includes funding from debt service, room tax, and generous community donations. Construction began in 24 and is nearly complete, with the exception of some minor punch list items that should be wrapped up in 2025. The city budgeted the full amount of the project in 2024 and now needs to carry forward and appropriate the unspent amount into the 2025 budget. That unspent budget is $42,680. And so with that, I would recommend Finance, Budget, and Personnel Committee recommend council approval of Budget Resolution 10-2025 to carry forward the unspent funds for the purpose of completing construction of the pickleball courts.
All right, thank you. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
All right, we have a motion, and there's a second by Andrew. Any questions? I just have a question. So the 42,680 is for sort of these loose ends, this punch list, as you like to refer to it. Is the punch list, does that include like the fence that they're putting up now, or?
I believe it does, but I'll let Parks and Rec Asperson confirm.
I was expecting that question. So there's windscreens that still have to be put up. They were on back order last year. There's a net that goes up on the east end where the discs may fly. Practice boards for the players to be put up. Those are also on back order last year. And then some internal fencing on the inside of the courts we finish up. So those are 4 items that they need to finish this spring.
Is that the same as the fence that the Pickleball Association was requesting? Or is that separate?
It was part of the project that was done last year. The pickleball group wanted to put it on the inside of the courts between the internal fencing, not on the outside. Pickleball fencing, the pickleball players requested the inside to be enclosed, and they would pay for that amount.
Okay, and so that's not included then in this 42,000?
Yeah, all of that will be. What is left in the project to recoup is all private donations. That makes sense. This is a carry forward so we can allocate those dollars.
Yep, got you.
More of a process. It's not necessarily we're spending any more money.
Right. No, it's just you didn't spend it last year.
We didn't spend
right,
it, so it's just private dollars that we have to expend.
Okay, all right. Okay. Any other questions, or anybody else have any questions? No. All right, so we do have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
All right, that passes.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll try to read this one again. Number 8, request to recommend council approval of a 3-month extension of the agreement with Cedar Corp for economic development services through June 30th, 2025, presented by Steve.
Thank you very much. Well, these next 2 items, item 8 and item 9 on your agenda, are obviously closely tied. We've talked about these many times before because we've been without a senior planner or a director of the Department of Development Services for quite some time. I came to you back in December of 2024 at the end of the year. And at that time, I brought forward 3-month extensions of the agreements that we've had for quite a while now with Cedar Corporation. And Josh Miller is the person we work with there for economic development services, and with SEH Incorporated with Bryce Hembrook, former city planner, being the person that we work with there. And again, we've been very blessed, as I've said before, to have these individuals working with and for us because they know us quite well from their time of employment here. But my intent in getting you, asking you to approve a 3-month extension through the first quarter of 2025, and I made that very clear, was to then do a request for proposals or request for qualifications to look at all providers effective for April 1, 2025. Part of that is because of the procurement policy. We look at what happens when you go over $25,000 in not just one particular agreement, but a series of agreements that might go through a calendar year. And that does happen with these 2 agreements, not in one quarter, but over time throughout a calendar year. The other reason I wanted to do an RFP or an RFQ at that time was the fact that, it really was warranted and does seem warranted after the length of time we've had. I mentioned that we've had very good people that we work with. I appreciate working with them. They're outstanding. They know us well. But after a couple of years, you do want to take a look and see what other companies might be out there that provide the service. In discussions over the last few weeks, I've talked with development services staff and others, and I've spent a lot of time thinking about this myself. There may well be a synergy to having one provider of both services. Now, I fought this idea off because we're still working to try and get a senior planner. We're not seeking someone for the director of that department. You saw that in the budget process, but we continue to be trying to find a senior planner. You'll see us stepping that up a little bit more again as we go into the spring. And if we do that, then that'll take away the need to have a planning consultant for that part of the deal. But it's very hard right now to find people. It's a very competitive environment. We're finding out that not only other cities, but even private employers are having a hard time finding planning professionals. So we have to assume that this might go on for a while as we head deeper into 2025. Going back to what I said, there might be some synergy and some benefit to having one contractor provide both services. We end up in conversations sometimes with Josh and with Bryce separately, sometimes together. Great people, great professionals, but sometimes they don't see things exactly the same way. Sometimes there's some overlap in what they do, and some of those things come into play on different projects. So it may be beneficial for us to find one company to provide both services. So my proposal to you tonight is to re-up, if you will, or to recommend council re-upping for another 3 months from April 1st to June 30th with both firms, and you'll see the one secondarily here in a minute with SEH. Even though we will, for certain with SEH and possibly with Cedar, go over that 25,000 mark for 2025 in payments made, but with the idea that in April you will see an RFQ, either separate ones or perhaps more likely, the way I'm thinking right now, one looking for a provider of both services from among the many community development firms that are out there. As I said, that may provide some beneficial things for the city. So my request tonight, my recommendation is that the Finance, Budget, and Personnel Committee recommends council approval of a 3-month extension of the current agreement with Cedar Corporation through June 30th of 2025. I say that without a new proposal for that 3-month period in hand with Cedar. So as I seek to get that, I would suggest that if the price tag for Josh's services goes up higher significantly than it is now, that I would then make that known at the council meeting, and you can decide whether or not you want to look a different direction. But I don't expect it to be markedly different, if at all, from the rate we've been paying.
All right, thank you, Steve. All right, with that said, is there somebody who wants to make a motion?
I move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there questions, Natasha?
Steve, this is putting you a little bit on the spot, so I apologize. For both of these individuals, Bryce is at 10 hours a week, is that correct?
Actually, slightly less than that now.
Okay, and then Josh is...
Josh, we typically get 10 hours a week or so.
So off the top of your head, could you give us sort of like a quarterly update on what they've been working on? Is that possible?
Oh,
so
sure.
Like the last 3 months?
Yeah. Yeah, I will tell you before I do that, that a lot of what you'll see on Bryce's report is going to be plan commission and some of those routine things that you probably expect, conditional use permits, rezonings, those types of things. With Josh, it may be more project-based. That's where you see TID 15 and Weinbrenner. But yeah, I'd be glad to do that.
Thank you.
Anyone else? So we do have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Okay, so that passes. All right, moving on to number 9. This is the request to recommend council approval of 3-month extension of the agreement with SEH Incorporated for planning services through June 30th. Steve, do you have anything else to add?
It'll be very brief. I'll just say that, like I said with Cedar and Josh Miller, that SEH and Bryce Hambrick have provided great service to the city over the past couple of years. I have confirmed with Bryce that the rate that we have been paying recently will continue for the second quarter. There'll be no change in rate at all for what we end up paying for his services. So yes, I would recommend that this body recommend council approval of another 3-month agreement with SEH through the end of June, with the idea that you see an RFP or RFQ not too far down the road here.
Move to approve.
We have a motion. We have a second by Andy. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign? Okay, that passes too.
Thank you.
Moving on to number 10, request to recommend council approval to adjust FTE status within the Parks and Rec Department, presented by Sarah Dressel. Sarah. Or, well, maybe it was going to be Justin.
Yeah, I'll have Justin do it, but I'm
flip a
here
coin.
to add on.
Okay, sorry, I just saw my name on the memo. So in 2021, a permanent part-time senior coordinator position was created and approved and filled. The move to permanent part-time was determined by the number of hours and days the employee works year-round in that position. The duties of the position involve the coordination, oversight of the activities and programs and events for the senior citizens at the Second Street Community Center. Prior to the Second Street Community Center being built and prior to Park and Recreation moving there was an actual standalone facility in its current library location where there was almost a full-time person that went there daily. That was closed. They moved to the mall, and then they moved finally to the Second Street Community Center. In 2021, the permanent position was filled by Grace Harkart until she retired in February of last year. Staff requested and received approval to refill that position at the end of February and began the searching for that replacement. This position did not receive a large quantity of candidates to start, so we put a pause on it so we could review the position, the job title, and duties. During the pause, a seasonal employee over the summer did most of the work for that senior position. A new search began in June, and we hired someone in September. Unfortunately, she resigned as of December to go back to the private sector and work a full-time position. Just a quick story, she left full-time to work part-time, realized it wasn't working out in her situation, so she had to go back to full-time. A review of the position, the duties was done overall. Amanda and I sat down again this past winter and said, okay, what's going on with this position? Is there better ways of looking at this? We knew we did not want to reduce the amount of programs or activities that are being offered to the seniors or at the community center. At the same time, we also knew that we were dealing with some budget issues as a city's whole issue. Since the resignation in December, we had 2 employees step up, Wendy Zimmerman, who's our part-time administrative associate, and Kylie Dampier, who's new, our new office coordinator. They've been assisting and taking on a lot of the roles of the senior coordinator. Other roles have been assumed by Amanda, Amy, as well as Nikki in the office. We thought a viable solution would be not backfilling this position and just essentially not filling it at all, and then having those duties assumed by Wendy and Kylie. This would also then change that would remove that 0.5 FTE position for the senior. To accommodate this, we would know that we probably have to increase hours for Wendy. She currently works 20 hours a week. She would go to 25 hours a week, so 5 additional hours a week. But this would have a net savings of $21,000 if we just remove the senior position, but with the adjustment of the hours, it would be a total savings of $14,451. So the request in front of you tonight is to increase Wendy's hours, who's our part-time office coordinator, from 20 hours to 25 hours a week to help assume the senior coordinator position duties.
Okay.
I move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion
Second.
and we have a second. Are there any questions? Go ahead, Natasha.
I just want to say kudos to your team for sort of figuring this out and consolidating and saving money, but yet still providing these programs because that place is hopping during the week. There are so many things going on for seniors there. So
I think you guys also are aware that ADRC's moving in. We assume there'll be some partnership opportunities there when they move into the building because they kind of cater to that same demographic, if you will. So we've already been in discussion with them about maybe some partnership programs and just bringing more activities for seniors. Wouldn't be a cost to our city, but it would be an opportunity for seniors to keep doing more things.
Any other questions from the committee? Okay, with that, we do have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I will abstain.
You're going to abstain. Okay. Did you get that? All right. Were there any opposed? No. Okay. Moving on. Excuse me. Number 10, request to recommend council approval to adjust FT. We just did that. Jeez, I need to be quicker here with my pen. All right, so we're going to move on to number 11. Are there any suggested items for future agendas? Seeing none. 12, adjourn to closed session under Wisconsin statutes 19.851-C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, consideration of pay adjustments for performance or additional duties. Do we have a motion to go into closed session?
Move to go into closed session.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Tompkins,
Yes.
Varsho,
Yes.
Moran.
Aye.
Spiros,
Yes,
Rigel.
Aye.
we are in closed session. wait for Jessica here.
Admin associate.
All right, welcome back. 14, number 14, action on item discussed in closed session if appropriate. Does anyone want to make a motion?
I move that the Parks and Rec Office Coordinator would be moved to step 1.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions?
Can you repeat the motion, please?
A motion to recommend council approval to increase the Park and Recreation Office Coordinator position to step 1 of the compensation scale.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I'm
Aye.
opposed. So that's 3, 4, and 2 opposed. All right. So we did have 2 things to talk about. Is there another motion?
All right, I move that we move the Parks and Rec Administrative Associate up to step 1 in the compensation scale.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any questions? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
I'm opposed.
Mr. Rigel, was your vote a yes or no?
Does a yes.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we're done then with that. I will take a motion to adjourn. Well, no, wait. Are there any items for future agendas?
We did that before.
Oh, we did that. Okay, never mind. We'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second and a laugh from Brian. The job I'm doing. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned.
Aye.